Greetings, and welcome to The Thirsty Mage, the podcast that's already drinking coffee from a festive cup, even though it's only the first week of November. Yes, I am both host and the holiday traditionalist who believes that the holiday season should be contained within December, David Lloyd. And this week, we'll be talking about some of the great RPG options that have released in the first week of November, as we're drinking our eggnog lattes, apparently. Joining me tonight is the man who has already likely picked up several boxes of gingerbread Oreos. It's Jordan Rudick.
I think the way to really scare you is to get you to go into a Costco at like the beginning of October, and you see all these Christmas decorations already out and holiday lights and everything, and it's like they just completely blow by Halloween and go straight to Christmas because I guess it's just a huge seller for them. But yes, it is thoroughly. I'll give you what makes it holiday mode here. We got snow yesterday or the day before. Like we rarely get snow in November, especially the last couple of years. So for us to get, it's been really cold lately. If it rains again, it's probably going to, or if there's any precipitation, it'll probably snow again here. So early snow in BC, not welcome. My kids are happy about it, but I'm not.
I was going to say, that's wild. You guys barely get snow to begin with. And I'm out here dancing in the streets of a plus 20 Celsius.
What is going on here? Yeah,
this is the warmest it's ever been in November that I can remember in my lifetime.
Yeah. Don't worry, David. I assure you, climate change is not real. I assure you, there's no way.
It's killing the planet, but it's keeping me a little bit happier, I guess.
Yeah, you still get to wear shorts. That's why I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And joining us during one of her hour of the day where the brand new baby is finally asleep, it's Paige Chamberlain.
For now.
We've probably jinxed it by saying that, right? Like, as soon as you mentioned the 1 hour.
You might hear her,
Yeah.
Special gift.
1 hour or in 15 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
You just take what you can get when you're this far into only a couple weeks in, I guess now, eh?
Oh, well, sometimes during the day I think I need to nap in a separate room because she's like actively making noise but being asleep, so then I can't sleep because I think she's waking up.
Yeah, I don't know if that.
The house is small enough ever goes away. The house is small enough I can hear if she cries. So I'll just go to the couch or something instead.
It's hard to escape it. That's tough for sure.
Yeah. My kids are 11 and 10 now, and there's still points where my wife will wake up in the middle of the night thinking she heard something from one of the kids' rooms.
But it's usually you crying, right? You're crying after you're fighting this Persona 5 boss for 5 hours and you can't take it down. It's never your kids
crying or swearing. Coming up from the basement, cursing out.
It starts as swearing, but eventually you just get broken down, and then just the tears start flowing.
As I tried to crawl into bed with zero energy and nothing but disappointment to put me to bed.
That's right.
But I guess the other big things that we're going to be talking about, some of the November games that have come out. There's already a few. It's going to be one jam-packed November when you think of everything that's releasing this month. And on top of all that, we had an Indie Direct today to kind of give away the recording day, I suppose. And I guess maybe we'll start with the Indie Direct. And I know for my impressions of it were I don't know that there wasn't too many titles that appealed to me, but that's okay. It looked like there were some pretty nice games out there. Any standouts for you, Jordan?
Yeah, so a couple, definitely. I mean, Coffee Talk 2, it's got a subtitle, like Hibiscus and Honey, something like that. Coffee Talk was definitely a very pleasant surprise for me when I first picked it up. It's kind of a visual novel game with some coffee making type, tea making type mini games. But yeah, just really compelling story and characters. So I'm very excited to see what the team has cooked up here for the second game. It was at PAX, but I was pretty busy playing some other games, so I didn't get to check out the demo of Coffee Talk episode 2 there. But I'm looking forward to that. And getting a release window of spring next year is nice for sure. Another game kind of in that sort of vein, like narrative type, and maybe potentially more of a tearjerker, A Space for the Unbound. January 19th, 2023. So just over a couple months away here. That's from the team, I believe, that made To the Moon. So if anyone has played that game before, knows kind of how much that tugs on the old heartstrings, I've probably been looking forward to A Space for the Unbound. for some time. Last one for me was the last game of the show. And of course, they had to do the one more thing, right? And so they concluded with Sports Story. I'm sure I've mentioned Golf Story on the podcast, maybe a very early episode. But Sports Story is one I've been looking forward to for a very, very long time. Adored Golf Story, recommended it to everybody. Pretty much everyone in my friend group who has a Switch ended up playing Golf Story and getting into it. So to hear that Sports Story is coming next month, funny enough, we didn't get a date for it, which is odd, but December at some point, we will be playing Sports Story. And it just seems like they've taken the original and just expanded it times 4 or something like that, with tons of new sports to play, dungeon crawling. You're like sneaking around like a base with bandits or something. There's a shopping mall. It looks great. Like I can't wait for that.
They announced that quite a while ago, didn't they? So people have been waiting. I feel like it's been a few years.
Yeah,
yeah.
2020 maybe, or I mean, very.
It got delayed. Like I remember there was like an announcement that like last year, it was supposed to come out last year, and they delayed it like 6 or 12 months or something. I remember. I think it was at an indie direct or something where they made that announcement. I can't remember exactly, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely was shown off at an indie world at some point, and just probably had a vague like year release, maybe 2020, 2021 or something, and definitely got pushed. So it's nice to finally see it come out. It's definitely one of those, like, for me, it was kind of on that list of, this is never coming out, like, or it's just going to keep getting delayed indefinitely.
Like Silksong?
Like Silksong, yes, of course, right? So to get one of those games off the list is nice. So I'm looking forward to playing Sports Story next month, definitely.
Cool. And how about you, Paige? Anything jump off the screen for you?
So the Storyteller having a date, because that was something that was brought up in a previous indie presentation, and it's a cute little puzzle game that reminds me slightly of, say, like Scribblenauts, except you're not writing, you're just like putting things in a different place. I played the demo of it on Steam. Surprising that it's like all the way until March though. Like that's quite a while to wait.
Yeah.
World of Horror. That's a good game. I've got it on Steam, so I don't need it on the Switch, but it's good to have on more systems. I guess some of it was still early access or not. Let me see.
Yeah, it is in early access.
Not
I was,
so maybe.
I was in there. Yeah.
As in it said on the Switch version as well, or
no, there's no early access on Switch, just on Steam. But
yeah.
Okay, so maybe that's like it'll come when it's finished or something.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I just looked at the trailer for Wobble Dogs, and I can't quite figure out what it is. It does remind me slightly of the PC Cats and Dogs game. Although I don't think, like, they're saying there's mutation and crossover stuff, but I don't think it's quite as wacky as like you could get with the modding scene on that with those old games. But so that's a maybe for me if I get to have a better idea of what you do in the game. But yeah, not too much, and I haven't even played Golf Story yet, so but it's good to see Sports Story coming.
Yeah, I don't think there's any, like, I don't think it's a sequel or anything too, so I think for people who haven't played Golf Story, I don't think there's going to be, like, I think they could just go straight to Sports Story.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it just seemed, I mean, it looked like maybe the same main character, but there wasn't a ton of, like, important storytelling happening in that first game. It was much more about the gameplay and the little mini games and stuff like that. So, yeah, I imagine you just go straight into this, and it's, like, the bigger, better version, presumably.
Yeah, I know for me, I'm going to be that guy who says I'm not going to buy any of these on my Switch. If I buy any of them, they'll be for my Steam Deck. Especially when I start looking at prices. Like, there's not very many prices on the Switch website for these things. Like, the couple, like, one that stood out was obviously Rogue Legacy 2 was on there because it's released today. And it's like 30% higher on Switch than it is on Steam.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, man. And so I mean, I enjoy watching something like this because it at least gives me like I'll head over to Steam and see what's going on with those games, and a couple of the ones that, like, the Digital Devolver games always stand out for me. So the two we had on there was Pepper Grinder, which it looked kind of neat. with the way that it had like this drill that you kind of went in arcs and that sort of thing. Like it is kind of like this out of control drill that you had to kind of move around and stuff. That's looked pretty neat. I think Inscription, I think, was the other digital devolver, which looks pretty neat as well. The fact that it's a roguelike makes it a little tough to want to pick up, because I think I finally hit my quota for roguelites.
We've had our fill. We've had our fill.
I don't know how much. Yeah, it's like, I don't know how many more. The tank is full. I don't know. Like the water is just overflowing at this point. I don't know if I can drink another one down. It's going to be tough. And I guess the last one that stood out for me is WrestleQuest. That's something that I've actually been waiting for on Steam, because I figured that's, it's supposed to be out any day now. I think it initially had like an October release schedule and then got pushed back to November. So I'm hoping that actually does come out. I'm assuming the reason why it's got a May 2023 date is that they'll have to port it to Switch. Like it's planned to, I guess. I'm hoping it didn't get bounced all the way. Like the Steam one didn't get bounced all the way back to me. Because, not that I have no shortage of games to play now, but it looks pretty neat.
I spoke to at PAX. I spoke to someone on the team, or at least doing marketing for the game, and he was suggesting that it was pretty close. So that was in September, and so I got the impression it was either end of 2022 or beginning of 2023. So if the Steam version does launch first, I mean, it could be imminent, yeah. And then you'd see maybe console ports in the second half, or just the end of the first half of next year. Sure.
I think probably the most impressive looking game in the entire bunch was Have a Nice Death.
Yeah, it looked fun actually.
Yeah, it looked pretty good. Again, the fact that it's a roguelike is a tough pill to swallow.
They really need to come up with a new buzzword that doesn't turn you off so much anymore. Like you change it into something that's like it's the same thing but just sounds different or sounds nicer. Like politicians do all the time, right? That turns twisted into it sounds like something positive. I don't know.
I don't know. Like I don't know if there's somehow like they'll have to convince me that it's not a game where you die and play the same level over and over again. Like it's just. I was so excited for, and I know exactly where my where things were. It tipped over for me was with Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight Dig was like my last. Like, okay, if Shovel Knight Dig, I'm a big Shovel Knight fan. I really love the games. If this is making me queasy, then I'm at the end. I need a break.
I feel like it depends how the rogue like functions, because some games, like I got turned off of I just didn't listen to Cult of the Lamb because I thought roguelike, that means I have to restart everything from the start all the time. Not the dungeons you restart from the start if you lose them, because that's kind of common, like in say Mystery Dungeon or whatever, like the ones I play. It's just that the things are randomized and if you fail you've got to start again. But you don't lose
just
like
a part of the game.
You don't lose your entire game.
The whole thing.
And like sometimes some of them make you think you lose like the whole game. So I'm not too into especially action ones. I'm like, I'm too clumsy to lose everything I did just because I misclicked.
Well, that's the thing is like we've had so many big ones that lately, like it almost feels like, well, I never actually finished beat Hades. Maybe I would just go back to that instead of trying like a brand new game that's like it. And then it goes back to like Dead Cells, and like they're all starting to feel the same when they're kind of, and that's kind of what this one felt to me is like, okay, this kind of looks like Dead Cells to me, or feels like Dead Cells. I guess it doesn't look like it necessarily, but
it's scared off of Dead Cells based on how many expansions it got. Like it got all this content. It's probably completely unrecognizable from the base game, and I'm like, there's too much here. Like I already had trouble starting it before because I just had too many games to play, and now you've added all this content to this game. Like, oh my gosh.
I like how Terraria did their final update, and then they keep doing crossovers. So now their next crossover is going to be Dead Cells next year.
Yes, right.
And before that, it was like Don't Starve.
Right, yeah. Lots of crossovers. I'll give a shout out just because it's also a November game, and I literally like 10 minutes before we started recording, I requested a code for it. Goodbye World. So David's got a note here: a game about two people making a video game, and then you actually play the game they're making inside the game. And I like that kind of concept of game within a game, right? So they're making a puzzle platformer on a Game Boy like device, but there's also outside of the actual game they're creating, which you do play, you're also like living the lives of the game makers, I guess, and going through their trials and tribulations, supposedly. And it just looks neat. I like the art style, so definitely going to be trying to check out, if not reviewing that game as well. Goodbye World.
The art style reminds me of that game that I think you might have played it too, Jordan, but I definitely remember Paige and I talking about it. Now the name completely escapes me with the there was like the kid and the dad that was
When did
Eastwood.
it come out?
Yeah, Eastward. Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't played that, but it's on sale right now, and I'm probably gonna buy it this week.
Get it.
So it's 40% off. I'm planning on it. Paige, did we talk about that game on the podcast? I don't even remember.
I'm pretty sure Paige and I did an episode on it.
Yeah, you might have. Yeah. So I had it on my wish list for a long time, and I think this is the best sale it's been on so far. So I'm gonna grab it.
Yeah, it seems like a game that would be up your alley for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. It has that same concept of game within a game, and it's an RPG kind of little mini game they've got inside it, right? Like a
I actually had to because I was just focusing on reviewing it, but like they did update the game, so now I can play it separately. Because like
that's cool.
in the game, it's like you collect little thingies and they help you play the game, and you play the game at these TV spots. But
right.
They did update it, so now I can just play it even though I've already beaten the game.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
So,
I will definitely pick it up then. Yeah.
Maybe just do a bit on the game in the game, and that gets it.
Yes. There we go. There's our next podcast idea: games within games.
I feel like something is falling apart. It's two roads deep reach from my
Well, I guess it'd be a good time to jump into the games that we've got out now in November that we're just starting to get our hands on. And I know it was funny. I think I had this listed as my number one game back in the summer.
Yeah,
when we were
look at you. What happened?
And I Persona 5 took over my life. That's all I can say. It's got its grips on me. Every time I try to play something else, I just keep getting harkened back. It's like it's almost like a demon has some kind of contract on my soul that will not allow me to play other games. Sorry?
What platform did you get it on?
Persona 5? I have it on multiple platforms.
Yeah, but like lately.
I'm playing this. The Steam Deck is the one I'm actually playing. So I like. Oh, I'm thinking about it. I want to get through the game before I end up breaking it by mistake with my attempt to put the mods on. But it's pretty fun. Like I have the PS4 version already. Was very upset there was no free upgrade to PS5.
Yeah.
But I enjoying the Steam Deck version, and then I have Game Pass, so I downloaded it on the Xbox just to see.
Is there a dedicated PS5 version of it?
Yes.
Oh, there is. Oh,
yes.
Okay.
And you have to buy it separately
because it's packed with all the DLC, basically.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's odd that there's no upgrade from PS4 then.
The me having a baby was the reason I bought the Switch version, even though I have the PS4 version.
Yeah.
Because portable, and then I've actually been able to play it because I can, like, while I'm pumping, I can hold the Switch above that. And sometimes I have one hand free. It's
Sounds
not
like
quite
you've
a game.
mastered this whole baby thing by now, Paige. You're a natural.
Sometimes
natural
I can,
Persona baby player.
Yeah, sometimes I can play and take care of it at the same time, depending how many hands I've got free. So
There you go.
Well, turn-based
although
turn-based RPG is
yeah,
about the best way
but
to do it.
trying to
Yeah.
sneak around the palaces with one hand doesn't work very
Not as easy.
I'm like, maybe I need to make friends with Oya because I'm actually hitting the security level increase.
Well, the one person here that's actually played the game that we also wanted back not only a few months ago is Harvestella.
I've been hung out to dry here. Like
you were hung out to dry. Even
what's hilarious
Casey
was I wasn't even going to get it. I literally walked into an EB Games and I'm like, I was trading in some games, trying to clear up some clutter. They had a couple of promotions I was taking advantage of to get some digital credit, and I remembered that I had some money down on Trails from Zero, which I ended up, obviously I reviewed the digital copy, so I didn't need the physical copy anymore. And I had a little bit of money on Sparks of Hope, which I ended up reviewing as well. So I had money on games that I ended up reviewing, so I didn't need to get those physical. So I just threw that all on Harvestella, and coincidentally, it was the same day that Harvestella had come out. I didn't even realize it was physical. I thought Harvestella might have been like a $40 or $50 game that was digital only. I literally did not know there was a retail copy until I walked into GameStop and saw it on the shelf. I was just like, oh, okay, there it is. I do want to play this. I had finished the demo just before that, so I ended up picking it up.
I'm gonna pick it up. I just need money.
Yes.
I'm waiting on the leaf.
I didn't realize I didn't realize it was a full retail price game. Not that I really care. Like I'm sure it will end up, or like you hope it'll end up being worth that, but. That didn't dissuade me from wanting to play it. I already enjoyed the demo, but
how far did you get into it? Because I heard something about the second boss being surprising.
Yeah, so that's funny. So the demo takes you to the end of chapter 2. It's a fairly decent chunk, actually. You get a good feel for what the game is by the end of the second chapter, and that's where the progress shuts you off and so on. So in the full game. And I did carry over my progress. I didn't start again. You get into chapter 3, and it turns out that chapter 3 is divided into multiple parts. So I have like main objectives in my story quest of 3A, 3B, and 3C. In addition to, there are dozens of side quests. Like every town that you visit has, 8 to 10 side quests you can pick up, and they're pretty cute and charming. They're like helping the kids with their problems, or someone's run away, or someone's lost their memory, or someone's maybe looking for their partner or their spouse or something, and they've gotten lost, so they come back. They're nice. They kind of tug at the heartstrings a little bit. And what I do like about the side quests as well is that they're kind of multi-part. Like you'll help the kids with one problem, and then they'll come back to you with a second problem. Like, for example, in the first town, there's a group of 3 kids, 2 boys and 1 girl, and the girl's moving away. And the 2 boys kind of find out about it. And so the side quests, the different parts involve like their different stages of like finding out or trying to come up with a solution to get her to stay. And then there's a resolution to that one as well. So it's kind of fun to see side quests, even though the content, like the story around them might be like a smaller thing. Like it's just fun to see them advanced in that way of having different parts, and you get rewards for every part. But yeah, no, so the main story, I'm at a point. I'm not super far into the game. Maybe in the 8 to 10 hour range, I think. And I've been playing it slowly. Like it's not a review game where I'm speeding through it as fast as I can. Like I'm actually kind of pacing myself, taking my time, playing a little bit every day. Although today I had a longer session. So with the 3 parts of chapter 3, at least the 3 that I have, and maybe there's more. You can do them in any order, as far as I can tell. So I ended up doing the second one first, which was 3B. 3B takes you to this underwater kind of dungeon. I think it's like Coral Shrine or Coral something at the seaside town. I think it's called Shatola. The boss there was very difficult. And so I learned after I'd finished that boss, it took me about half a dozen tries, that... you should do them in order. You should do the story quests in order because the levels they don't scale. So I'm going back to 3A now, which is kind of closer to the first kind of the second town you visit, I suppose. And there the enemies are much lower level than I am. So I should have done 3A and then 3B and then 3C. But doing them out of order now, I'm overpowered for, I guess, the dungeon that I'm in. So
Does the
tip to
new
anyone who hasn't played it yet: do the questions in order that you get them.
do the new towns mean you like start a different farm, or can you
No,
like
so you
teleport to
have
them?
so you have your own little home area just outside of the main town. I think it's Lethe or Leth Village. So your farmstead or your homestead is just outside of that area, very close to that first town. You can upgrade the size of your farm through speaking to a renovation person at the initial village or the main village. So I've upgraded my farm once. I have added a kitchen. I have a crafting station in my house. From what I can see, the homestead where you live and have your farm, there are kind of paths that you can place bombs onto to open up walls or open up new paths. And it seems like there's a lot of different vertical levels to your farm. So I don't know what else I'm going to find when I get up to those areas, but it shows 6 different levels. If you kind of go into the map screen, you see your farm and your house on the one level. And then there are 5 other levels above that, or it wouldn't be below, be above. So it might be that you can make other extensions or have other farms on different levels or something. I don't know, but you just have the one farm in the one area, as far as I know right now. Each town that you go into will have a different general store. The general stores will sell different ingredients to craft or cook with. They'll sell recipes. They might have they'll probably have a person there that will give you money to show them new cooking recipes that you do. So you might collect a recipe, make the dish, and then you show the dish to a person in a town, maybe using their local ingredients, like local fish or something like that. And then they'll give you a lot of money for showing them that dish for the first time. So there's a lot of like little things to do in this game that I think are pretty satisfying. As opposed to something like a Harvest Moon type game or Story of Seasons, where you're kind of doing the same things over and over and over again. There's a lot of different little things to do here that you're kind of checking off a lot of different boxes. Even in your house, there's a fairy is kind of set up like a book of like objectives to complete, and as you complete more of them, she gives you rewards, whether that's crafting items or new equipment to use on your farm or something like that. New things to maybe new recipes. So you're constantly unlocking new things to do and to make. So I'm finding the main gameplay loop pretty compelling. What I don't love, or I'm maybe at odds with a little bit, is the days feel very short. So you might go into a dungeon and you're gonna run out of time pretty quick. The dungeons, for those who haven't played the demo or watched any of the treehouse footage of the game, the dungeons feature like bridges that you can build, but it costs you time, or ladders that you can lower, but that costs you time. So there's a lot of things you can do to open up shortcuts in the game, which I think is clever, but it costs you a lot of time. So you end up having to go to dungeons on many different days or many consecutive days in order to complete one major objective. And like I said, I've only completed one of the big objectives in chapter 3 so far, working on the second one. But yeah, I just keep getting sidetracked by all the little quests you can do. And every time I go to a new village, or it feels like every time I step into a village I've been to before, there's something new to do. So that's fun too.
How do you find the combat? Because I was really annoyed at the start of the demo where you didn't have dodge until you unlocked it as a job-specific ability.
Yeah, so there is a dash ability that you get from the sword fighter class, I guess, which is the basic one. I find the combat very basic, or maybe I'm playing it in a very basic way. I don't find myself dodging very much, unless I'm in combat and I see the enemies like attacks and I can telegraph them. Like if sometimes you'll have that, they'll put the red circle on the map or a red straight line, and there's going to be an area of effect move used by one of the enemies. Then you can use the dash to get out of the way. But when you're just kind of doing basic combat with them, I don't know that there's a way to really avoid getting hit by enemy basic attacks. I get the sense that like you're just supposed to craft a lot of foods in your kitchen to bring with you to heal you constantly. Because whenever you eat a food or drink a drink a potion or something, it heals everybody in your group. So that's the way you would heal your 2 allies as well. And it also refills your stamina. So there's this kind of interplay between stamina, your stomach meter, like how much you can actually eat, and then your health as well. So I think that is kind of interesting, even if I don't find the combat particularly interesting. I've been using really the sword fighting class almost exclusively. It's been good enough. I think it's fire based, or at least its special moves are fire based. I have maybe half a dozen classes so far, so you get them at a good clip. So you can switch to a mage. There's one class, this character I picked up who kind of specializes in music type magic and buffing your teammates. But you don't really control the teammates; they just kind of attack and do their own thing. So I don't know. The combat's not the best part of Harvestella, I would say. It's just there.
That just seems a shame because it's like, yeah, it's like Square Enix is doing sort of a Rune Factory game, but the combat was kind of So from the start.
Yeah. I don't think it stands out. I think that this is a game where it's maybe better than all the small pieces individually aren't super, but they all kind of add up to something interesting and fun. I like that main gameplay loop of, in the morning, I tend to my crops, I harvest them, I get money for that, and then I can spend that money in the general store, or I can upgrade my farm, buy new recipes, go out and look for more ingredients and stuff. I think it's for me, like I guess I was getting kind of bored of the Story of Seasons kind of farming games and just not having a lot to do day to day that felt compelling. Harvestella does feel like more of a game I am interested in. And I haven't played a ton of Rune Factory, and I need to go back and maybe I should certainly try the latest one. But Harvestella is scratching an itch that I think was left unscratched by some recent farming sims.
That's good.
David, have I sold you on this game? Are you going to rush out and pick it up, and put down Persona 5 right now and play something else?
I don't know if there's anything that would get me to put down Persona 5 at this point. Short of finishing the game. But yeah, I think you sold me to pick it up anyway. Like, it's funny. I didn't realize it was physical either, but I'll still probably get it on Steam Deck. But I'm curious if it looks any different. I'm pretty sure it looks exactly the same from what I can tell, but maybe like a higher FPS or something. But
yeah, I don't find it a particularly good looking game. It reminds me a little bit of the Bravely Default games, not even Bravely Default 2, or like earlier than that. I think Bravely Default 2 might have looked better than this game. But yeah, kind of visuals aside, the music's very good. The boss fight music is incredible. There's a lot of kind of just good music in this game, and the different dungeons, different areas, different towns all seem to have different themes. It is kind of that classic, good Square Enix music that we're used to. And yeah, I'm just curious to see where this game goes. I don't really have a sense of what the trajectory is for the story. I'm kind of going around to these seas light areas where I guess they're kind of causing havoc around the world. I haven't even encountered my first Season of Death yet. It's coming up in about 3 days, so I'm going to see that coming up soon.
I watched one video saying like things to keep in mind for the game, and one of them would have caught me being a fan of the thing is so normally when you get a crop that says spring and summer, you'd plant it and think it would be fine summer, but Quietus will kill it. So like
that's right. You gotta wait. Yeah. So I'm glad you pointed that out, Paige, because I wanted to confirm that I was doing the right thing. I do have a bunch of. I'm at the very end of spring and I have a bunch of seeds, and I'm like, should I plant them now and just? They'll be ready in summer. They're ready when summer begins.
Yeah, because that would have absolutely got me because no other farming game has like this thing where everything dies in between the seasons.
That's right. Yeah. And so I've been starting to get some warnings from people in the game about this Season of Death. Like, you can't leave your house. It's very dangerous. How it's affected some of the characters in the game. A bunch of the main kind of characters, like the ones in your party, they have relationship type meters that you can build up through side quests, and you get to learn more about them. And there's one set of side quests for the doctor, who's kind of one of the main characters. She finds you at the beginning of the game. And learning about kind of her background through these side quests has been enjoyable. I haven't really seen any. I think you do get a reward from filling in. There's like the kind of like it's almost like a relationship meter that kind of just builds up, and I think you do get a little reward every time you do one of those quests. But yeah, it's just another kind of little thing that to do, another box to check off that is pretty satisfying in this game. So yeah, I think that there are some elements of it that I don't love, like the combat and the way the stamina drains really fast, even just from sprinting. But I think on the whole, it's a good game, and I'm happy to be going through the rest of it, and I'm certainly pretty into it right now. Like I might not pick up Tactics Ogre. Whether we get a review code or not, I don't know. But I might just want to play this and finish this before Pokemon. That might be my November set.
It's interesting. It's got its hooks in you that much. It's funny. I went to How Long to Beat just to get an idea of how long it is, and no one has submitted a time yet.
Well, like we were talking about off air before we started, like Square Enix, I don't know what's going on, but just didn't get a lot of review codes out, so people haven't been playing this game. It only came out on Friday of last week, so I guess a lot of people just started playing it then, reviewing the game or otherwise, right? So
and it's funny.
A couple places reviews came out like yesterday, so
yeah. I'm pretty sure they just blitzed through it right from Friday from Tuesday, or took the weekend and played like 12 hours a day.
Launch day codes is the worst. It's like I might as well just buy myself, and then I don't have the obligation to finish it.
Yes, no, exactly. It's never fun. So,
well, and IGN I guess owns How Long to Beat now, and there's like a there's a connection on there's like a click here for the walkthrough. So I'm like, okay, so I'm at the IGN walkthrough, and it ends at the end of the demo. So I'm like, okay, clearly
that's so funny.
Clearly they did not get a review code for the to get that walkthrough finished in time. So
it's funny, like I can see review codes being withheld because you're maybe concerned about how good a game is or performance or something, but there's nothing poor about the performance here on Switch. The visuals aren't super good.
I think it's kind of blurry, but that's
I find that too, especially during some cutscenes. Like the character models are quite blurry, but I think the character art and the portraits is really good. Actually, I like the look of the characters. That artwork component. But yeah, this is a good game. Like it's not. I mean, it's in the 7.5 to 8.5 range, and it could be even better. I don't know, but it's not one of those ones where you'd be really really worried about review scores. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe everyone took early vacation or something. It's fair. They saw the last 2 months of the year off.
They saw all the Christmas decorations in the stores and decided to start taking Christmas.
Done with this. It might just be like they released so many games this year. Like they might just not have the marketing budget for these last games, right? Like seriously, you release so many products in a year, and especially some big ones like.
They got Crisis Core coming up too.
Exactly, and there has to be a marketing cycle for that game, like something with Final Fantasy in it. It's going to be huge. So, maybe that's what happened. Is they just had all these games, had to put them out, and just didn't have the money to push them out too much. Yeah.
I'm looking at what comes out in November. So, David, you're going to be picking up Horsetails Emerald Valley Ranch, right?
100%.
Can
we just buy it for him and make him stream it, David? You could stream that game.
Yeah,
I can now with my fancy internet.
Fantastic. That's right. Yes.
Yeah. I there's no guarantee that I wouldn't stream it for 5 minutes and then quickly switch over to Persona 5 Royal.
Well, you're gonna have to stream that or Sonic Frontiers. You got to pick one of them.
I just got to watch out for the Atlas streaming guy.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah, for me, House Dolls are only November pickup, I think. I've got a pre-order for Gungrave Gore as a maybe, just waiting to see what the reviews are for it. Basically.
When does that come out, Paige?
November 22nd. Okay. That's the Australian date anyway.
Just a little bit after Pokemon then.
Yeah. So we'll see if it's any good. That's the main thing.
Yeah, well... I've been joking about Persona 5, but there are two games that I've been playing. I'm gonna just be quite upfront and say that I haven't put a ton of time into these two games because I've again been under the spell of the Atlas behemoth there, but I have gotten some time in with the latest Zeboyd game, which is This Way Madness Lies. So this is the latest title from them. This is the Cosmic Star Heroine developer, and so it's basically a Zeboyd game. is if you played a couple of their games, if you played Cosmic Star Heroine, it's the same battle system. It's the same setup where you have a list of attacks that you can do, most of which you can do once, and then you have to kind of like bury a turn to recharge them, sort of thing. So the kind of hook with this game is that it's kind of like a Sailor Moon-esque girl team with a Shakespearean kind of storyline going on. So kind of the gist of the story is that so there's this like earth place where the girls are in high school. They're part of a Shakespearean drama club, but for some reason that hasn't been explained yet, they're able to kind of teleport themselves into Shakespearean world, like a kind of like this alternate reality where the stories of Shakespeare are kind of being played out. So the first level starts off with they're in the Romeo and Juliet play, and they show up where they're the classic scene of Romeo talking to Juliet from like I think it's after the party where Juliet's kind of like up at the tower and Romeo is trying to like coax her down or whatever. And while he's doing that, he ends up getting kidnapped by like this. It's this plant that reminds me of the plant from that 80s movie, Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was captured, and so one of it's got kind of classic Zeboyd comedy too. So there's like a lot of jokes and stuff. And one of the things that they do that I'm finding funny is there's a lot of Shakespeare like literature, like lines, like the classic lines.
Yeah.
But there's they have a button where when the line is said, you can click on a modern translation of the line, and it's always like a joke, of the original line. So I'm finding myself, and it's funny because it's like you can either turn one or both off, or you can actually like just flip between them like on the fly. So I found myself like, the line comes up and then I'll read the translated version and then continue the conversation and keep reading the translated versions because they're pretty funny. That's one of the things is that I'm a fan of the writing style. Like it's got some nice humor to it. And so like I said, it's kind of like your classic turn-based with there's up to 4 party members, and it's they're these girls with that turn, they kind of like do the Sailor Moon thing where there's they look like normal, and then they have like these wands that changes their appearance. There's this like cut scene where they're all like donning their uniforms or whatever, and it's funny, I didn't notice it when it first came out, but I guess some people were complaining that the cutscene of them changing is too long because it like shows it shows all of them, right?
Yeah.
So they patched in an ability to skip the scene, but it's funny because a message comes up that says, "Do you really want to skip the scene?" And then it said the 2 options are like, "No, of course I want to watch it," and then 2 is, "Yes, skip the scene because I also kick puppies." So
That's good.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. So but it kind of it flips between the worlds. So I was there and I rescued Romeo, and then they kind of come out of like, they go back to the normal high school thing, and there's a dialogue of them going to school and stuff, and then they actually put on like a play, like this modernized version of A Comedy of Errors. Like they put on the play in like this, there's kind of like a story scene sequence, I guess, where there's like a visual novelty type thing going on, and some of the monsters have kind of started spilling into their world, and then there's like versions that there's like alternate realities where there's like versions of themselves coming into the world and going like it's getting pretty bananas. I'm only a couple hours in. It's I believe it's advertised as like a 5 to 6 hour game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like I guess a good game for someone who's playing a Persona 5, where it's like you're committing 120, 100 to 120 hours into one game.
Pretend that you're playing it on the retro game console.
Yeah, so sorry. So a 5 to 6 hour game is almost like a halftime break or something in between play. Yeah. So it's something that you can kind of get through, and not have to be like totally committed to. So, and I think that was almost it wasn't their intention for people to play this like as a side game or anything, but I know that the developer at Zeboyd had said like there just really isn't nobody's really making these short RPGs. Like they're usually like 20 hours plus. So it's something that they're trying to kind of create a market for, I guess. Is just kind of like this short, you get your RPG hit and kind of, not be fully committed to this long, huge playtime.
I'll be curious when you finish it to see like how because we've played the other Zeboyd games, or at least Cosmic Star Heroine and the what was the Christmas one?
It's a Cthulhu Saves Christmas.
Yeah. So I'm wondering where this one will kind of stack up against those by the end of it.
It feels closer to Cthulhu than Cosmic Star.
And I think that was the idea in length, at least in length, that was they weren't going for something as meaty maybe as Cosmic Star Heroine. Yeah,
and it's more like, I would say a lot a lot of it is very focused on Cthulhu. Like it's kind of the same comedic. Like there's not a whole lot of seriousness to the story right now. And
it was Cthulhu was so funny though. It was a perfect holiday game for us to play.
Yeah. So it's all kind of the same lines. So
yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And then the other game I'm playing, I think you picked this one up, Jordan, too, or you were thinking about it.
I was thinking about it. I haven't yet, but I probably will at some point. Yeah.
But it's only on Steam, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So this was a game. It was funny because I actually heard about it from Zeboyd's Twitter because they were promoting it. It's a kind of a Game Boy era inspired game called For a Vast Future. So it's kind of got the monochrome. You can actually change the colors. You can go with like a gray or a green. I think there's like a blue. So you can kind of change the monochrome, but it's definitely in the vein of like an old Game Boy game. Mm-hmm. Definitely couldn't be played on one. There's a lot more going on in that game than would ever be capable for an actual Game Boy game. But
I can see that in like one of the like screenshots, like of the shop or whatever. It's like definitely maybe GBA.
Yeah, very detailed. So, and this is kind of almost in the same line where it's like it's an RPG, which I believe they were also advertising for at about like 5 to 6 hours, and this is a turn-based, your classic turn-based style. Mm-hmm. But the way that this one works is that they all kind of share the same weapons. Like, so the way it works is, I guess it's kind of in this like dystopian future where it's kind of post-apocalyptic, and this girl goes to this kind of scrapyard or this old military base to find scrap or whatever to sell, and runs across this cyborg, and decides that like, this cyborg would fetch me a lot of money, but he's alive and kicking or whatever, and the cyborg wants to, like, has no memory of what happened, so they kind of cut a deal where they're going to find this other base, and so that the cyborg can get their memories back, and but she's kind of in for it because like, there's going to be more cyborgs there, even more money, sort of thing. So that's kind of the basis for the story, is they're kind of going on this adventure together to find this cyborg's memories. But the way the battle system works is it's turn based, and then it's got it shows like who's about to attack next. Like it's in the vein of there are a lot of games use it. Like Saga Scarlet Grace would use it, where it would show like the picture of the enemy up in like an online, and you see, okay, I get the first turn, I get the second turn, and then it's like 3, 4, and 5 are the enemy, sort of thing.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy X did that as well. That's an example I always think of. It was one of the first games I think where I did notice that timeline there.
Yeah. And they both just use a gun, and even like you'll get more characters along the way. Like I've got a third character now, and so we all just use a gun, and we share ammo. So there's like different ammo. There's like your basic ammo. There's like a pierce ammo, smoke bomb, where it'll potentially blind them. Like there's a chance for blinding. I think there's the fire ammo, but on top of that, there's also items that can be used as well. So there's like Molotov cocktails, grenades, and they're all shared between the characters. And where the variety comes in is with the leveling up. So it's basically like you can level up your character in any way. So if you want like one character to be more focused on attacking, then you'd obviously pick the stats that are linked to attacking when you're choosing how to level them up. And then the you can make someone more strong, like a tank or something. And that's where, the variety comes in. Like it's almost like a Final Fantasy V, I guess, in a sense, where it's like you can just, everyone can be anything, but you can predetermine jobs based on what you want them to do.
Yeah, it sounds great, and it looks even better. Like I love, sucker for these 8-bit nostalgia plays with the visuals too. And it's funny that the screenshots. I'm looking at the Steam version. I guess it's only on Steam right now, but man, I would love to see this come to other platforms as well, especially Switch. Now you said the user reviews are pretty positive. There's not too many. I didn't realize this game literally just came out, like November,
like a week ago.
It came out. Yeah, so
yeah.
This developer, I'm wondering if they're in Quebec. Retro.
They have
game.
a French name.
Yeah,
so
that's what made me think. So I'm kind of looking up here. Where are they from? But yeah, I know, right up our alley, of course. So you're not too far into this one, David. About an hour or so, a couple hours maybe.
Yep. Yeah. I got to the point where there's like one area where you find the cyborg, and then it's kind of like a tutorial area. So you kind of leave your hometown and you go out into the open, and then there's like you get to a point where it's like, okay, there's kind of a barrier to the rest of the game. So you have to kind of figure out how to get past the barrier, which I've done with that, and that gave me a third character. And now I'm at this town where that's kind of, it's been abandoned, but it's kind of been taken over by a cult. So now I'm trying to like, okay, now I've got to figure out like how to deal with the cult and then get past, because they've kind of got blockades set up in their town. So I have to figure out like, okay, I'm trying to get into, so there's like this mansion where they're in, and I'm trying to figure out how to get through the mansion, because there's no map. So I'm like just trying to like eyeball, like, okay, did I go down these stairs yet? Have I gone up these stairs yet? Like, I don't know. I'm just kind of running around in a bit of a circle, to hoping I'll find, kind of fall into something, but pretty good so far.
Yeah, both the games you talked about, I think I'll pick up when I can. Anyway, I'm definitely
This Way Madness Lies. I think that is coming to other platforms at some point. I know that. Yeah, obviously.
I think they're both Steam for now, but
yeah,
like Zeboyd usually ends up on other things. Like I'm pretty sure Cthulhu's on everything, and yeah. The
team for Four Vast Future, I think it's only a team of 2, so it would be harder for them to port it individually. They'd probably need to hop on with a publisher, get some assistance for that. But yeah, hopefully it does well. It looks cool. They have another game that they did before this, Pillars of Dust, which it kind of looks like in the same vein, but more fantasy and a little more color to it. So that might be worth taking a look at as well, David.
Yeah. So, I guess, for my November, I'm pretty tied up in Persona until the end, but I'm definitely going to be picking up Tactics Ogre.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've kind of relegated Pokemon to be like a Christmas gift.
Yeah. Your kids must be looking forward to that, right? Like they're going to get into Pokemon.
As soon as I drag them off, it's trying to get them to play anything besides Fortnite is like pulling teeth, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Splatfest theme, and that makes me not interested in Splatfest, because it's based on, like, it's what starters you want, but then the picture's like the starters of this new game, and I'm like,
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
this weekend too. I think the Splatfest.
Yeah.
I feel like the Splatfest is just it's a fun time to get back to Splatoon. So I haven't played Splatoon in a little while, but I think I will come back for the Splatfest regardless of whatever the theme is. I do enjoy that the way that everybody kind of talks about it and gets together for it. So. But yeah, Tactics Ogre. I might if we don't get a review code for it, I might wait on that one. I
Yeah,
do
for
I do want
me,
to
it
play
was
it, but
like
just gosh,
it's a
three
bit
RPGs.
pricey, and it's got the
Yeah,
smoothing on it. It's like, oh,
It feels like a game that'll probably be on sale not too far from now. Like,
yeah.
that's the kind of
And it's
feeling I
not
get.
getting a retail release, right? This is the
It
one.
is.
It is as well, man. They're
Well,
really
it
going
is in
hard
my. It is in Australia, so it would be very weird if it didn't in other places. So
I'm just surprised that they're physically releasing all of these games, but I guess when you've got that price tag, like, kind of makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah, let's see. So it's on GameStop.
because
Yeah.
Tactics, Harvester,
65. Oh, there's
and Valkyrie.
PS5 version for $65.
Yeah, PS5 is the first version that pops up. That's hilarious.
Oh, that sounds not too. I was gonna say the Australian price is $70 for like
That's
Switch.
pretty close.
So.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, gosh, I definitely want to pick it up. And if I ended up with some extra credit somewhere, I might just do that. Or if their reviews are really good, I should say, if there are any reviews and they end up being very good, I might pick it up. But
You might have to wait a couple weeks after it comes out for any reviews, apparently.
I mean, I always knew, if there were no review opportunities, I wasn't going to be able to do all three of these games. So it was going to be pick two. And I kind of like the idea of having that 2 weeks to finish Harvestella
yeah.
and play Pokemon. I'm definitely playing Pokemon for sure. Going to go digital with that. I think my son, he's not quite there yet because he's not there with the reading, but I'm sure he'll get into it soon. So this feels like a good gen to also have digitally.
Well, and if not now, then later. So it's
Sure, exactly. And I think they're doing double gold coins if you have an expansion pass as well. So that's like getting 10% back in gold coins, and that's not a bad deal. So I don't mind doing that.
Yeah, I think this is the first Pokemon I'm probably skipping for now. Although my sister seems interested in it, so like the only thing that's particularly pulling me is the being able to walk around multiplayer.
I like the idea that there's kind of there's multiple like main objectives. Like you kind of have this choice of 3 main paths you can kind of follow. Like I if that works out and they're all kind of meaty, fulfilling objectives to complete, I'm gonna get pretty hard into it. I think, the idea of to going through the trainers or going through the gyms, going to be the champion, taking out with the Team Rocket substitute in this game, and then there's that great treasure or some kind of adventure you can go on to maybe find some item or something. And then of course there's always filling up the local Pokedex, which has kind of become my new platinum trophy when it comes to Pokemon games. So I do like to do that too. So
what about Crisis Core? Are you going to be picking that one up?
I will play that as well, and I want to review it. But what's going to really screw me is when they tell me Sports Story and Crisis Core the same day. Just watch it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Sorry, you got to play Dragon Quest Treasures first. That's a few days before. That's my one December game that because some things don't have dates yet. Crisis Core is a maybe substitute for a Christmas present because what I was going to get my husband sold out, so I might get him that and a Tom Berry plush instead.
Crisis Core on the 13th. Like the funny thing is, like you can't really do anything too close to 25 of December, right? It's just not going to happen. So
yeah, because
if the game's coming out, it's probably December 1st to 15th. It's in that window, the first 2 weeks. So
that's when most come out like November to be the Christmas games.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
That's because I haven't been working at the video game store for over a month now. I'm like, I didn't know God of War came out. I didn't know Sonic was like yesterday. All this stuff I would know because it'd be my job to keep on track of. It's like, no idea.
I mean, those are kind of the holiday games, I guess, right? Like, there's no other than Pokemon. I'm just thinking of like Nintendo exclusives or multi-plat.
I think Nintendo usually just banks on Pokemon for the holiday.
Yeah, it does feel like that. Like, or you'd go Pokemon and then something a little off mainstream, like Metroid. I can't believe we're not getting Metroid Prime remaster / remake.
Well, our October game was Bayonetta, and then I think that's
Yeah.
till January for Nintendo because then we go with Hell, but we get Kirby and
Yeah, that's right.
Fire Emblem. Like we get their second party.
Yeah, Paige, I don't even want to think about February 2023 right now.
You don't want to think about what have we got? Atelier Ryza 3 and Kirby coming out on the same day. Oh, and Octopath Traveler 2 is also on the same day.
And like a week
And
before
that is Final Theater Rhythm.
Right, and Tales of Symphonia Remaster got announced for like a week before that.
Although
date
the joke's
like,
that's not very remastered, I think.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 games coming out on the same day in February.
Yeah, no February talk. It's a nightmare scenario.
I already know someone else is going to take the Ryza 3 codes. I'm going to have to pick it up myself.
Well, now this gives me an excuse to get the limited edition with the statue, right? So
I don't really get the limited edition if I have to import it, you know.
Fair, yeah. Oh yeah, I know November's enough of a problem as it is with big games coming out. So yeah, I don't know. So David, you're just Persona 5. You're getting Crisis Core. You got to be getting.
Oh yeah, I'm getting Crisis Core. I'll be. There's no way I won't be done Persona 5 by then. Like
yeah.
I think in the last I looked at my time. I've put 46, 47 hours into Persona 5 now, and I think that's in like 1 week. So
it's crazy.
I'm just playing it nonstop. It's just like if I'm awake and someone's not talking to me, I got my Steam Deck in my hand and I'm just plugging away.
So you two will do a Crisis Core episode, and me and Casey will do Dragon Quest Treasures. Is what he said. That's the.
Yeah, well, Casey. That was Casey's big thing. Is he definitely wants to be done Persona for Dragon Quest Treasures because that's number 1 in his list too.
It's got a month.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Casey's he's not far behind me. Like he's I think he just finished the Futaba little spoiler there. Yeah, I think you and I gotta blew it there. That's okay. It's an old game. Yeah, I think you and Casey are kind of lockstep right now. So
yeah. So it's pretty much all I'm playing because it's on my Switch. And, you know, gives me something like a sense of progress in, you know, like, because the first few days I was pretty much just focused on trying to sleep and not being out of sleep. So I was spending extra time in bed just lying down to make sure I'm resting. Whereas, you know, having Persona, like, it's giving me a sense of progress, a sense of normalcy. That, like, especially because, I can't even do I can't even do the house stuff. So I'm just looking at this messy place and being like, oh, I'm going to play Persona.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it for the first game that the baby's ever exposed to, you might as well go with the 3rd best game ever made.
You're playing it right now like it's the first best game ever made. The way you're sleeping and breathing Persona 5, you might have to adjust your rankings by the end of this year, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm loving it. Like, it's funny that I think like between all the times I've played it, like this is probably my 3rd or 4th playthrough now, whatever it is, and I've got over 300 hours probably.
Yeah,
and I've still learned a few new things, which is hilarious.
Yeah, that's the best part.
I learned in Kichijoji sometimes there's a couch you can sit on and you can get a guts point, and it doesn't take up time. So.
Oh, really?
That's pretty cool.
I learned about the on Sundays if you get a smoothie from the underground walkway, it'll give you a stat boost. No, I didn't. I also didn't know.
Been a thing since the original.
I know. I'm sure the going to the bathroom in LeBlanc to do cleaning was something I never knew either.
Yeah, I heard that from you, and I went to it. I'm like, oh, okay. So I did that while I had Kawakami make coffee.
Yeah, and the plant upstairs, I never ever fed the plant before.
Really? So oh my god.
Yeah.
The juice in the plant. That's like that's original stuff, you know.
But I've maxed out probably 60% of the confidants now. So
I think I've only maxed out Ryuji, and then he keeps wanting to hang out, and I'm like, sorry, bro.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think I got 8 people maxed out now, and they keep texting me, and I'm like, no, like
I'm at the
done.
point where they're like, I'm hanging at your house, and I'm like, I'm gonna go see somebody else. Bye.
I'll be anywhere else but here.
Yeah.
Your friend's here. I don't care.
I've got limited time confidence. Bye bye.
Yeah. And then the other what I've never maxed out Kiwami before, so now I'm getting the massages after going into the metaverse so that I can do stuff at night.
It's worth it.
Yeah. The dialogue is hilarious. The dialogue alone was worth it.
Well, I guess it's
So
that
tune
time
in
where I
next
get
week
to.
for more Persona 5 Royal.
That's a joke I was going to make. Like, we've got episodes coming up on Persona 5 Royal soundtrack, Persona 5 Royal, philosophy, aesthetic. We'll do an episode on every facet.
We're going
of the
to
game.
talk one episode about darts.
100%. Yeah. We'll do one episode ranking the confidants. I mean, that's a must.
That we could actually do, yeah.
Yeah. I better be careful of these jokes. They're going to become.
Tune
that
in,
one, that one could take up a whole time. Like,
tune into December when the podcast gets rebranded as the Persona 5 podcast.
Yeah. The thirsty confidant. There it is, right there.
Yeah.
Well, they're all thirsty, especially Ren. But yeah, so I think that'll do us for tonight's episode. Thanks everybody for listening to our discussion of some indie world games that we saw today that we are looking forward to, and then a few November picks that we have on Steam and Switch. And of course, Persona 5, which you can get basically everywhere now. I suspect we will be doing episodes on at least impressions, if not fuller reviews on some of the upcoming games. Tactics Ogre is going to come up. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are going to come up in the next couple of weeks. Crisis Core might be our last episode of the year, I would think, or one of them, right? So,
or the first episode of the new year.
Yeah, it could be depending on how we schedule things. So, I imagine. Do we want to do Game of the Year at the end of this year, or want to save it for the beginning of next year? I can't remember what we usually do. Trying to think, we might record it at the end of the year, but then
I think we do it like an end of. Yeah, I think it's something like that. I think we usually record at like the end of November, early December. That kind of like awardees.
Well, I mean, once all the big games have come out, like then we can just go ahead. Like, we don't need to wait after that. So
yeah.
I mean, Final Fantasy and Sports Story, I think, probably the two last games that would get any consideration for Game of the Year. So after those, we can put together our rankings and see how many people put Persona 5 at the top. If you haven't already, we'd love to get an email from you. Give us your thoughts on the show, games you'd love us to cover. You can email David at thethirstymage.com. Leave us a review on your podcast app of choice. That would be great. Helps the visibility, gets more people's ears on what we're talking about every week. Nice to join the podcast again. It's been a few weeks. I was busy with renovations, so nice to chat with you guys again. But yeah, that'll do us for tonight. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us. And we will talk to you again next week.